And why put so much money behind video and the marketing? You've already gotten the dollars once you've walked in the door.
I think a lot of times that we don't really stop and reflect enough. It's never too late to find your dream job.
Hey everybody, I'm John Sherman, Creative Director of VC Productions. I'm here with Tracey Specter, certified life and leadership coach, focused on coaching nonprofit professionals. She's been in the game for a long time as a volunteer and a philanthropist, and I've got some questions. Anyway, let's get to it. Let's talk about it.
Hey, John, good to see you. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for speaking with me today. I know when we were working together and our paths have crossed several times with several nonprofits, and also really exciting to just, knowing your background, the fact that you take the time to speak just about nonprofits and the work that you do.
Thank you. And thank you, by the way, for those of you listening or looking at me, but John did my setup. I get so many comments of how wonderful this is. So thank you for setting me up this way so I can look good on Zoom.
For those watching at home, we are both using not our normal, and I'll actually do a little reveal here, believe it or not, this is what your FaceTime camera would look like, at least on my laptop, right? So we're using a proper camera, lighting, and a nice mic, and it really makes a big difference. And why did you feel compelled to sort of upgrade the equipment you're using and how you present on Zoom? Why was that important for you?
I feel I'm now in a more professional space. And, I was kind of always dealing with the lighting wasn't right. My face looked funny. I looked yellow, orange, every single color. So this makes it super consistent. And I think consistently when I turn it on, I look good. And the lighting's perfect. So it really does make a difference. And so it gives me more confidence going into any session with a client, when I'm giving a presentation, that I don't have to worry about that now, that what I look like and what people see when they look at me when I'm giving a presentation. So it's really been fantastic. So thank you, John.
Absolutely. Awesome. And, obviously it's important as a coach to sort of present in that level of expertise. So speaking of that expertise, let's talk a little bit about nonprofits. Now, the reason I like to do these interviews ultimately for our target audience is to say, hey, here's what other professionals in the space are doing from a marketing perspective, from an advert perspective, anything that they're doing regarding marketing and video. One of the things that we talked about offline that jumped at me, and people are going to be surprised when I ask this question, I think, but because it kind of shoots me in the foot, but we do a ton of work with nonprofits, videos for galas. This past year, it's been a lot of virtual galas, 30-minute, 45-minute broadcasts, right, to raise money for nonprofits. Well, what we both know in this space for years is that most nonprofits walk in the door of the event with most of their fundraising done, right? Most of the money's already been raised. And so, a question I have is why put so much into the event? And when we're in person, the food and the ambiance and the design and the setup, and why put so much money behind video and the marketing if you've already gotten the dollars once you've walked in the door?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. And at the same time, it really helps the nonprofit shine. It helps people learn about what the nonprofit does, so it engages people more in that sense. I just can't see this virtual thing kind of continuing and it's on its own if we don't have to. It's really important for people to, meet people who individually one-on-one who work at the nonprofit and see other people in the room who also connect with the nonprofit. And and just as human beings, I mean, we're social beings. I mean, we like to socialize. It makes us feel good. So it's really important that we continue having, not events for nonprofits. And I also find that after an event is a time when, because there's been this event, these videos, that focus on one particular program or more in the event, the overall mission of the nonprofit, people understand the nonprofit at a deeper level. And then that's going to be helpful in them, considering a bigger gift or more engagement, maybe volunteering or, other way to get involved, or just think of the nonprofit in their, keep it fresh in the front of their mind, which is really, really helpful for the nonprofit itself to grow and expand.
I think that's a great point. And there's a lot to unpack there, right? So there's a sort of the networking aspect of an event, right? And just the energy and fun of an event, just bringing people together. People like to come to events. As we go back to in person and have these events, what's the impact of the virtual space that we just played in? Are you advising people, hey, when you're having this event, have a, virtual contingency? Is it a virtual hybrid? Do we not know yet? What's your pulse on the situation?
Yeah, no, that is such a great question. And that's what, development professionals as well as boards are talking about, because frankly, to have both is expensive. It is super expensive. On the other hand, you are reaching a lot of people. I was talking to a nonprofit yesterday, someone who was involved in a nonprofit, and they were doing a lot of virtual events. And they were telling me they had, 10 times the number of people attending virtually as they did regularly. That means they're getting people out of, just the region what they're in. They're getting people all over the country. So I think there's a real opportunity for people to open up the access of nonprofits and really market yourself in a way different way. So I think that, personally, I think hybrid, is a way to go, because not everybody can attend. And if they can attend, then they can be there in person, at least capture, have a great video that John does. And exactly. And
write that down, guys.
Exactly. John's team, he's got a great team. And, have that as a marketing piece that then you can put out there. I have to say also that a number of events I couldn't attend live virtually, but I went back and watched these events just on my own time. And again, I was really an opportunity to learn more about what the nonprofit's doing, engage with the nonprofit. It's not the same as being in person, but I still think it's valuable.
I love that you said that too, because I think that everything that, anything I've ever said about virtual, live stream, et cetera, has never been, this is going to replace, right? I think at least right now that is not the case. I think that, to your point, social beings getting together, there's not something quite yet that replaces that. I know from our space, the cost and the risk factor, right, for things to go sideways of doing an actual live broadcast of an event, both on the technical side, but also, just somebody messing up on stage and not having the opportunity to edit that, right? There's those risk factors there, and added cost, added crew, added production costs. If I'm a nonprofit, I'm on a budget, I'm trying to figure out where to spend it. In your mind, the energy of live broadcasting from the hybrid sort of environment, is that worth it? Or if you had a slightly lower cost option where you could just film the event, edit it, and post-produce that as a recap later, is that worth it?
I do think that there should be a video component to an event that you can take and repost it and send it out and say, hey, we had a great event. If you couldn't be here, go ahead and look at it, go ahead and we'd love you to, still be engaged by watching this. And then also, like you said, just taking some sort of version of it and being able to hopefully to use it for further marketing purposes. That really capitalizes on the cost. Makes the cost make more sense, because you're not going to just use it one time. You're going to be, hopefully, when you're making the video and you're planning it all out, you are thinking about the future. Maybe you have a capital campaign coming up. You can, again, use it over and over again, and you can break down the video in all different snippets and parts to use. So it makes it really flexible and cost effective, I believe, to invest in some sort of video piece of it for really any kind of event. I think then again, depends on your budget.
I want to parlay off the word invest and think about and a little bit of a shift from video, but just the general mindset around nonprofits and sort of spending. How do you think nonprofits should be thinking about investing or return on investment, and how they're allocating budgets to the outreach, to those things that, for-profit companies take for granted, and just, hey, we need to market ourselves this way, or we need to brand ourselves this way?
Yeah, no, I do think that nonprofits, especially smaller nonprofits, A lot of times they do not invest as much into the marketing piece and development piece of their organization. I've seen that over and over again. And I'm kind of one who's always kind of pushing to expand that area, because it helps people it helps them build their databases of people who will be, hopefully again engage at some point, either hopefully giving to the organization and learning about the organization, which can lead to all so many different benefits that you can think of. So I think that it is always an issue, because it does take nonprofits out of their comfort zone when they see that they have to pay a lot of the funds up front, or they at least have to commit to investing in their event. So I'm somebody who really believes in spending money on food, spending money on decor, spending money on having a good video, spending money, on an invitation that's inviting, and spending money on marketing your event in a big way. And it kind of makes a statement, like, when you're marketing, you're also having an opportunity to even let people know your name, your mission, what you do. I mean, it's also important. So even buying lists and, expanding, your databases to try to get more people again interested in your nonprofit. But for nonprofits, to thrive, this is what they must do. I don't even think it's an option, my opinion.
Tell me a little bit about what you're doing for these nonprofit leaders.
I'm generally working with individuals, and I'm really helping them move toward their goals, whatever it is that they want in their life, because I'm a life and leadership coach. Because what I find is when a lot of people get stuck in all different areas. I mean, it could be, with a boss that they have, just not feeling comfortable talking to them. It could be in a board meeting, speaking to their board. It could be a CEO that is, not meeting their goals the way they want to. So I kind of just work through that. And I do a lot of my coaching centers around the well-being of the person, because frankly, if somebody is feeling good in all different areas of their life, if they're feeling their job is meaningful, if they're feeling their relationships are working well, if their health and wellness is good, if they're getting enough sleep, if they're eating well, their good diet, exercise, and if they are feeling their job is meaningful, if they are experiencing a lot of positive emotions and not as much anxiety and negative emotions, people perform better in their job. They're just happier. Just think about it. When you are feeling up and happy, you're more open to more different perspectives. You are just performing and doing better in your job, and not only in your job, in your personal life. So I kind of do it all. As a coach, my clients come to me with whatever it is that they're interested on working on. What can we partner and work together on and moving forward and helping you meet those goals that you haven't been able to meet in the past. So topics just vary.
Let's say I'm a nonprofit professional listening to this, watching this right now. What's like one immediate move, one immediate thing, mindset shift, et cetera, that you think, hey, you gotta wrap your head around this and start doing right now?
I mean, I think a lot of times that we don't really stop and reflect enough. I think that we just go from one thing to the next. We're so busy. In fact, a lot of times, what we're doing is almost mindless. So really stepping back and really just noticing, how you're feeling. What are the thoughts coming into your head on whatever it is that's in front of you? A lot of times can create space for you to think about, different perspectives, or just really understand a situation at a deeper level, which might create a shift. So I do think, that's something that we do in coaching. We create this space where, people spend, 45 minutes, an hour with a coach, and they're talking about, and coaches. And as a coach, I'm asking a lot of questions. That's what we do. We ask powerful questions. We then help people be accountable for what it is they say they're going to do. But in asking those powerful questions, people are stopping and they're thinking deeply. And as a coach, we create that space, and I think that is super powerful. That's where the shift happens in coaching and in someone's life.
What you're doing in terms of your work, and especially in terms of how integral work is into each of our lives, right? You just have a stronger you and a stronger organization as a result.
No, it's totally true. And I'm a big believer, and I'm thinking, coaching is something that's fairly new in a sense. It's been around for a long time, but I think it's really taking off. I mean, with the nonprofit coaching, I'm coaching CEOs, I'm coaching middle managers, I'm coaching professionals at all different levels. And I hear over and over again, how helpful this is. I see the changes in my clients. They tell me, I'm moving forward in a way that I haven't in a long time, in the direction that I want to go. And I feel better. I'm not as anxious, especially during COVID. But again, I've been in the nonprofit world for a long time. I've sat on, I was counting them up the other day. I think I've been on 14 different boards in all different capacities. So I have a lot of experience, with nonprofits, big and small. And I just feel, really passionate that coaching can really help, because it helps not only the person. Once you're helping the person within a nonprofit, you're helping the entire organization. Because when someone is feeling better in their own space and doing better, whatever we do, it affects everyone around us.
From the perspective of having been on 14, I think you said different boards, right? What got you into the nonprofit space, and what got you to stay there?
Yeah, no, I think what you said earlier, I mean, just serving others is something that, helping others and organizations, especially, hunger and poverty and Jewish continuity is something that's super important to me. So I've kind of figured out, what are my passions? What are my interests? And then have kind of decided to get involved in those areas. And I do it because I feel a lot of meaning and purpose, and I experience a lot of positivity, when I am doing this kind of work. And so it just feels good to me, and it feels right. And when I'm in that space, then I'm feeling that way, then again, I'm being helpful, and I'm engaged. This is how I want to spend my time, and I get excited about it.
How long has the coaching practice been going?
So I've been doing the coaching for about 2 years. So that's kind of new. And that spurred on because I kind of later in life, I decided to go back and get a master's in applied positive psychology. So I did that about 4 years ago, and it's something that's really always really interested me. And I wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. And I was kind of using in my nonprofit space when I was running meetings. I was kind of bringing some positive interventions in, and maybe doing a little meditation before a meeting, or going around the table, which I love to do in a meeting, and asking everybody, what's one good thing that happened in your week, to create deeper connections between people. But I wasn't really using it to the extent that I wanted to. And a number of my classmates have gone into coaching, and that kind of gave me the idea. And so then when I researched it and I did go through the certification process, just really spoke to me. So it was a way for me to even deepen my work in the nonprofit world. And again, because I have so much experience in the nonprofit sector, it just made sense for me to kind of focus in on this one area. And there's just a big need. There's a big need. And, coaching can be super expensive. And I decided, what I want to do is offer a reasonably priced coaching for people in the nonprofit world so they could afford it. And I am, thrilled with my business and what I'm doing. And my clients would say the same thing, because they tell me that all the time. So it's really, like, I would call it my dream job. And it took me a long time to find my dream job, So I'm just putting that out there. It's never too late to find your dream job.
To get your dream job is a win. So that's amazing note to end on. Tracey, thank you so much for taking time to speak to me. I think this was super valuable, and thank you.
Thank you, John, for having me. Really appreciate it.
If you like this video, please click like, and if you want other people to see it, share it, and click that subscribe button. That'd be great too. We'll have more of these, and if you ever want to have a topic or a specific talk, comment below. Let us know. Thanks, everybody. Take care.